Hi, hello everyone.
Hello.
Glad to be here. Hello everyone. Marian, I see you are here. Do you know how many people are coming? Should we still wait a bit? Hello.
Hello.
So is Vika here? Let's wait a few more minutes.
I can see and hear everybody.
Perfect.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Okay. Hi. Oh, that's great. So many people. Hi.
Hi, Vika. You are the person who should know how many people are coming.
Well, as far as we had an option either to choose only your webinar or to choose all webinars. So we have part of people who have chosen only your, but we have around 20 people who have chosen all webinars. So I think should be, yeah, we have now 18 participants. I think it's approximately something we are targeting at. So we can start in 1 minute, yeah. And I just want to attract attention of everyone that we have this webinar as part of the series of webinars in the project New Opportunities for Ukrainian Women and Youth. We had already a webinar on artificial intelligence just in general, like introduction on Tuesday. Yesterday, we've been talking about designing and editing and making books and newspapers and educational materials because we have an expert who've been doing that. And today we will be talking about artificial intelligence implementation in Estonian schools with Kristіan-Юліus. And this webinar is in English, so it's a challenge. But I should say that first we will upload this video to our YouTube channel. I hope YouTube will be working okay after yesterday's some turbulences. And we will also add Ukrainian subtitles to it after just our expert will work with it. So those who are here now, you will have an opportunity to watch the webinar in English, but also you can later share it on to those who do not speak English, but would be able to see it with Ukrainian subtitles.
Yes,
So
and I'm
you're
sorry
welcome.
I haven't learned Ukrainian enough to speak in Ukrainian. Neither have I ever learned Russian. So I'm one of those people from the new generation. But hopefully the subtitles will work later.
Okay, then I just wanted to ask Kristіан-Юліус, would you be showing the slides, or we can show it, or just whatever?
I will show my slides.
Okay.
Yes.
So actually we can start, or maybe if we have representatives from ENUT, maybe Marion or Red, maybe you would love to tell several words, just a greeting to the participants. So please, you are welcome.
I think Marianne is having technical issues, so if Red has something to say, but also I can just begin otherwise.
Okay, yeah, I see that microphone, Marianne's microphone doesn't work. So Red, if you want to, you're welcome. Can you hear us?
While Red is setting up, or maybe you could give a brief overview. Who are here? Who are the people here?
I can, as far as we can see here, we can do it in this way, that we can ask people to write into the chat, because if everyone would speak, it will take time. Which organization or sphere do you represent? Because we have been announcing this webinar for the whole Ukraine, and we have been sending out it to many people. So please just write in the chat either organization you represent or some sphere where you work, for us to know. You can also write a city, for example. Where are you from?
I'm curious about whether they're teachers or policymakers or politicians or schoolmasters. Who are you,
Journalists.
basically?
Okay, yeah. Journalists, politicians,
Journalists,
deputy.
right.
Okay. So please write in the chat, and you can also write in the chat the city. I know that some people has written to me that they do not really understand English, but they will use artificial intelligence tools to translate synchronically the webinar for them. So please,
Let's hope it works.
Yeah.
And if I would be curious also to map out some questions ahead. So if anyone has a question, you can ask it already right now, or you can write it to the chat as well. Cool, we have one teacher.
Yeah, we have a teacher.
All right.
Yeah, so please write your questions just during, one more teacher, nice. You can write your questions during the webinar. I will also copy them, not to maybe to distract Kristіан-Юліус, and then we can either, Kristіan-Юліus can either answer it during the webinar or at the end of the webinar, as you wish. Okay, so we have.
So let's have a agreement that I have certain points where you can ask questions, but if you have a question, let's discuss them right away. So you have a question, maybe Victoria, you can say it out loud, or someone else can just ask the question.
Yeah, I can.
Let's have it. Yeah, let's have it a free form in that sense.
Okay.
All right.
So I
will.
think, yeah.
I will share my
Please.
screen then. Yeah.
Okay. So please do that.
I'm looking.
I will ask Andrew to allow you to share screen. Андрій, будь ласка, глянь, має прийти запит від Крістіана-Юліуса на поширення екрану. Great.
Can you see
Great.
it?
Yes, we do. Thank you,
All
Андрій.
right. All right.
We can start, I think,
Yeah. So hello again to everyone. My name is Kristіan-Julius, and I'm part of a bigger team who is working with and for Estonian AI educational program called AI Leap. And today I'm gonna talk a bit about AI and education in Estonia regarding to this program and what we are doing related to AI in Estonian schools. And I'm myself a researcher from University of Tartu, working mainly on AI and education, but there are many more people, my supervisor Jan, and many other people who have contributed to this presentation and all this project. So as you, the background basically in Estonia regarding AI is very clear. We have teachers mostly using AI tools for themselves. More than half of the teachers have found AI tools for themselves. At the end of the last year, we had 53% basic education, general education teachers using AI tools. More in the primary, less in the secondary school. So we see that teachers are using somewhat, but the usage is not too high. And when we see what are teachers using AI for, then it is mostly to do their own job easier. And less on how to use AI for teaching in student tasks, in learning methods and processes. Yeah, we have someone drawing on the slides. That's also okay. So we have studied also factors predicting why teachers are adopting AI. We see that one part is that they have the readiness. The teachers feel psychologically and practically that they have the sufficient knowledge and skills. They have the attitudes to use AI. So there's kind of psychological and practical kind of feeling inside of teachers, how ready they feel they can use AI. Second part is how useful they see the AI to be for them. And here I can say teachers are saying that they find AI to make their life easier, to increase efficiency in lesson preparation, lesson planning, creating tasks, differentiating tasks, and automating some kind of workflows that they have related to assessment, related to giving feedback, having emails with the parents. So we could say that teachers see the usefulness regarding their own work, but they are rather skeptical regarding the effectiveness of the AI for learners today. So for learning, for how students use it, they are a bit less enthusiastic and more enthusiastic about what it does for them. I guess so teachers here probably have also used AI for themselves. And as every expert in every field, we find usage for AI for our own work. So this is a normal behavior. Interestingly, also we see that older teachers are slightly more active users than younger teachers, and that the teaching experience in Estonia at least doesn't affect whether teachers adopt AI or they don't. And on the other side, besides teachers now using AI, we have students using AI. And really, to sum up a lot of data that we have from different sources, it seems that AI has become really like a routine, normal part of student lives of student school-related activities, how they work, how they are used to doing homework, for example. And students even feel that they have to teach the grown-ups, and they are more AI native now. And what we see data-wise from a study that was conducted 1 year ago. So 1 year ago, we saw that 75% of secondary school students, 6th to 9th grade, are using AI, and 90% of the even higher level, gymnasium level students are using. And so this is the usage that they have used AI. The percentage of students who are using regularly, at least once per week, this is slightly less, but still pretty high. And students are using it for many reasons, based on that study, mostly to answer homework questions, to solve the homeworks, to get help while solving the homeworks, generating different ideas, fact-checking their own work, summarizing different materials, and also image creation. So those are like the big categories. There's definitely a lot of use cases, but in general, students are using AI as part of their homework. And the reasons by another study conducted this spring from grades 3 to 9 are kind of similar. So when this study looked at reasons why students use, so they mostly say they use to save time. Okay, I guess everyone understands, especially when you have 14, 15, 16-year-old kids or young adults, they have many more interests than doing schoolwork. So they find using AI to save their time so they can go out and be with their friends, for example. It makes their life easier. So these are their own reasons, right? It makes their life easier. They use it when they cannot find help anywhere else. For example, most students in other studies that I don't refer to here, they say that they use ChatGPT instead of Google. So students have switched from search engines to AI, and they use AI to get their information from. So it's very practical, very casual that you say, I have a question, I will ask chat. And some people are just experimenting. They see how AI can do something, how it can create images, how it can create some texts, etc. So there's definitely a bit of curiosity as well. 1/3 of students are saying directly that they do it. They use AI to get better scores, to improve their academic outcomes. And 1/4, 25% are saying that they use AI specifically so that AI would do the work for them completely. We have similar data from university, and definitely could say that there is a percentage of people, like 15%, who are in the university level, for example, very sure themselves that they are doing academic fraud, and they are submitting tasks that are completed by AI. This is not the majority. Most students have better intentions than to cheat. But still, it's a high percentage when 15 or 25% students say that they specifically use AI to cheat. And even with the other reasons, students might think it's okay, but we know as educators that this is not good for learning. So obviously you already know, but what are the threats if students use AI uncontrolled like this is very generally that students don't learn anymore. The AI does the learning for them. We see there's a threat of having wrong facts and solutions. AI is very, very well written, very confident. So it's hard for the students to understand and find mistakes, especially if they're not experts already. So, for example, it's a better practice for the students to first study the material and then use AI. So, if you take a small new topic, you learn it in class, you discuss it, and then you use AI, then the students can detect mistakes. Of course, there's it's not only letting go of the learning, but also committing actual academic fraud, saying that these are my thoughts, while it actually is AI's thoughts. And we see many other things. Science, different reports have showed reduced critical thinking and cognitive offloading, which is different type of cognitive and metacognitive capabilities that we can develop and we can do in our own head. Now, when using AI, those abilities are reduced. And AI does those things for the human being. So a classical example is also, of course, when you use a tool, then you don't use your muscles anymore like that. Your muscles go weaker. Or when you use GPS in the car, you use Google Maps or Waze, then your brain doesn't anymore do the three-dimensional routing to your final destination. So the same way we offload our abilities to AI. So in Estonia, we have seen, and not only Estonia, across the globe, that those problematic practices have been entrenched already. Students are using AI, not in the best way that we could imagine. So we see that intervention is very critical. So Estonian, so if we do nothing, basically, to sum it up, first of all, there's some potential that the AI could have that we as grown-ups and experts, we can have potential. First of all, we see that some teachers, like half of the teachers basically, don't use yet AI. So half of the teachers don't get this benefit in their job. And also students who use AI in the wrong terms, in the wrong patterns, in the wrong ways, are not learning and also not improving, maybe not also getting some potential that they could get. And we also are worried about inequality. So as usual, we see that people who have some kind of more access to money, for example, to buy licenses for AI, or who have better learning skills, they already get better with AI. And those who are more problematic or less developed students, they usually don't get that much benefits from AI and other disruptions. So we really want to do something. So our president, Alar Karis, on our Estonian Independence Day, and of course, for Ukrainians, you know the state very well. This is our Independence Day also. And on this day this year, 24th of February, our president, which is 7 months ago, announced that we will have a program called AI Leap, and we will start using AI in schools in the smartest way. We will use it to increase our strengths and not our weaknesses. So the president announced it in his big annual speech. And since then, the AI Leap program has kicked off to implement this program. So AI Leap, very generally, is an educational program in Estonia that aims to make sure that Estonian student thinking and learning skills don't diminish and rather grow and leap into the future. The name AI Leap comes from, maybe you have heard, the tiigrihüpe, this lion jumping, the tiger jumping, sorry, in the 90s. So this is in Estonian, it's a new leap, not just in internet usage and technology, but now AI usage. So the aim is, as you can see, very broad to develop thinking and learning skills. And while doing it, it aims to provide equal access to all the teachers and all the students to both know how to use AI, have access to AI, rethink how we use AI, and rethink also how we teach and learn. And maybe not even rethink, but start using practices that we know are supportive of learning. So across the whole country, we see this as an initiative, as an opportunity to kind of equal out more good practices in the schools. So in general, there are three options nowadays with AI. First, we can do nothing, as we already said we don't want to do. In that sense, we already see that the cognitive offloading is happening. Student thinking skills are going down. Maybe the students learn some kind of AI literacy. They somewhat learn how to use AI. Not maybe in the best way, but they get some technical skills. If we give them technology and we instruct them how to use this technology, then, for example, how to write prompts, how to ask questions, then we can be more sure that their technical AI skills are going up. And maybe a bit more, they can learn it. The ones who want to learn can use AI to learn as well, to improve their thinking skills, but not too much. And the third option is also to really think about this thinking and learning skills and improving them together with the technology. So obviously, with AI Leap, this is the goal. This is the goal to not only bring technology, but mostly focus on what should happen in the class, how should the teaching experience be, how should learning processes be, and then incorporate AI where it can actually boost. So basically the goals of AI, very simply put, are to support learning and thinking skills, to support skills for using AI in a sense that helps the teachers to do their things, but also helps the learners to learn, not to do the thinking for them. And also the final part is also building this kind of new AI that could support learning and the Estonian learner context and all the context that the school has. So maybe here is a first point to ask some questions also, if there are any questions.
So if there are any questions, you can either write it in the chat or just raise a hand and unmute it and make it by voice. And while you are thinking, I wanted to ask Christian, so was it this ABC strategy which you has chosen in Estonia, right? And
Yes.
do you see already some results, or is it too early to talk about results? Or maybe you will tell
Mhm.
about it later. Maybe.
So the president announced it in February that we're going to do it. Since then, we have worked day and night to make sure that this program would start in September. So in the end of August, and I will also show it later, the program was kicked off for the teachers, for the schools. And this, as you can imagine, it takes a lot of work for teachers and humans in general to change their habits, to have any kind of change in the way they work, in the way they think. So it's a long process. It has been kicked off, and I will show later how exactly. But we expect the first results by the end of this academic year. So the next summer, basically. What we have done so far from the technology side is, I will also show it, but we have had many pilots now, and one pilot is running where we are testing whether this new AI tutor is working as we want it to work. Is it helping the students to learn, or is it still working not as good as the classical AI models? So there has been a lot of work done, but for real results, scientific results, it takes time, and we will show it.
Thank you. Great. So,
Any more questions?
Yeah, please. Would everyone gallery? No, I don't see any. So if
Mhm.
so you can write it in the chat, welcome, or just we will proceed and then
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
So if we look at the problem again that AI Leap tries to solve, it is that today we have a student, and we have a student who maybe doesn't want to learn, or doesn't know how to learn, doesn't have the skills, or just isn't aware that they are doing something not so good, and they delegate learning to AI. As they say, they use AI to save time, to get things faster done. So this AI gets their task and very happily solves it for them. So the current AI is very, very much wants to solve the problems that is given to the AI, and outputs the solution. So the AI basically does the student work. So that's how it is the problem today. And what AI Leap is trying to do is that we start from the student, not that the student doesn't want to or doesn't know how to learn, but they would want to, and they would know how to learn. So instead of delegating learning to AI, they turn to AI with the goal to learn. And AI, at the same time, is not trained to give answers immediately, but is trained to support learning. And this is, of course, in theory, very beautiful. And we hope that we can build a better AI that would help with learning, and also help learner to develop some new skills. What we see today is that the AI takes away the skills from students, but we want the AI to develop and internalize some of the skills to the student. So as you can see, this is not the technological challenge. It is mostly the challenge of humans, mostly challenge of how our schools and teachers operate, how we think about assessment, how we think about what we expect from the learners, what type of homework we do, what is the motivation of students, etc. Because we will also see later, no matter how good AI we have, if the student doesn't have any motivation to use this AI that can help us with learning, there is no, they will still go back to the ChatGPT, for example, to have AI do their work. So we really need to, for a meaningful change, we cannot just have an AI that supports learning, but we really have to have students who want to learn and have a motivation to learn, which stems from teaching and learning practices in the school. Very broadly, AI Leap has those three pillars then, three different tracks. One track, as already mentioned, is to have a technology that supports teachers and technology that supports students, that students and teachers, that everyone would have equal access to technology. Not that only people who can pay, but everyone would get access. And this year, as we look at on the left side, on the pink box, the first year goal is that the 10th and 11th grade students get an AI tutor that supports their that supports learning, and teachers also get access to the best available AI tools. Then on the teacher side, there are nationwide trainings that have already started, and I will tell more about it, with specific guidelines and materials provided by top experts. And the main work, I will go later into that as well, are professional learning communities. So every school, every district, and every school has their own teacher community where they learn together how to navigate, what kind of changes to do. I will tell a lot more about it later. But there's a lot of learning happening with and for the teachers. So the teachers are learning new ways. And the goal is that by the end of this year, the teachers would confidently, more teachers than 53%, would confidently and skillfully use AI to organize their teaching and also organize learning processes so that learning would happen in the classroom. And the last part are students who are also working together and learning how to use those AI tools. And the goal is to make sure that students know how they can use AI to empower themselves and have an impact on their learning and use AI tools for some kind of benefit. There's a large team behind it. There's specific people responsible for different sets. We have the CEO, Ivo, who's on the left side, who's usually doing those presentations and is dealing with communication, but there are many people responsible for different areas. And we don't have to go into that, but for example, to show you that a lot of things are going on. A lot of things are going on. Right now, we are on this gray light line, and the program is about to, the technology is about to launch in November. So the point here is that a lot of things are happening. For example, in technology side, there has been a lot of work with what kind of technology to use to set up all the environment for the teachers and students, to pilot and develop this AI tutor, test it out in different experiments, analyze the results. And this work continues throughout the next 18 months, basically. Then on the end of August this year, we had the teacher big training for 4,000 teachers online for 2 days at the end of August. And after that, the teachers have been grouping and organizing themselves in smaller regions in their own schools. There have been already and will be seminars for those learning circles, the leaders of those learning circles. And there is a Moodle and online workspace with all the different materials for the teachers. And also the other domains are working in parallel. There's a lot of work involved. I won't go deep into that, but it, as you can see, hopefully, that it is not that AI Leap is buying software from some kind of big company and then giving this software. We are mostly working with humans, working with schools, and the technology is there. It's being worked on. It's being very specifically worked on to make sure that it fits for Estonian learners. But this is not the main track in that sense. So let's take some questions.
Okay, so dear friends, you can either put your questions into the chat, or you can just tell from your voice, switch on the microphone. You're welcome. I know that here we have teachers and existing teachers. Yeah, welcome. Someone was talking, no?
So I have a question.
You're welcome.
So this idea about AI tutors is very interesting. But do you mean AI tutor a teacher or AI tutor AI?
Okay.
So do I understand correctly that do we mean that AI is acting as a tutor, acting
teacher,
as
yeah.
acting as a teacher, or what
Or
would be the
AI.
other?
Or the intellect, the artificial intellect.
Well, everyone has to understand that this is AI, but we are trying to make the AI not act as a human teacher, not have a persona, but to use what we best know from learning science, from educational psychology, to help the learner to actually learn something. So I'm also showing it very soon that we are using, we make sure that AI just doesn't give answers, doesn't give lengthy solutions, but starts to work with the student mind, ask why they want to learn, what they already know, give them tasks that are hard for them, and let them try to solve it, and so forth. One really important thing is that we shouldn't assign personal human labels to AI. So we shouldn't say he or she is giving you answers, or that AI is listening to you, or AI is thinking. This kind of attribution of human characteristics to AI has been shown to lead to not so good things related to learning and how we relate to AI. It is better to talk about AI as a model that engineers have developed that takes an input and generates an output. So use those technical terms and not to assign like a persona, a human characteristic to AI. So that's what we also are trying to do. Of course, children and students, and we ourselves as well, we often talk about AI as a human being, right? And we have to be also very careful that we don't say that AI is listening to me, AI is thinking. There is no listening, there is no thinking. It is just manipulating input based on math and statistics to generate some output.
Thank you so much.
But of course, children would love to see like a face. And I'm also doing an experiment in one of the primary school with third grade students, and they really said, please put the face to the AI and put like some colors and stuff like that. They really want to have like a online companion. So we want children to like the technology as well, but they also need to be aware how it works. And by the surveys and studies we have, they actually don't know how AI works. For example, the classical misconception is that AI has access to databases and has access to specific facts. And to some extent nowadays, it can do online search, but the models themselves don't have any idea what are facts, what is truth, what is false. There's zero kind of logic, internal logic happening. It's all just prediction. Good questions. So keep asking those questions while I talk about the technology. So from the technology side, we have been talking about with many different companies. And those are the companies that are building the best AI models. So the top companies in the world have been on the table, and although AI Leap really wants to have European Union-based models, and we are negotiating and talking with Swiss AI and Mistral AI from French, and they are getting more interested in education than currently the ones who actually showed some interest and said they are working with education were OpenAI and Google. And currently we are in partnership with those big developers so that they would take their best models and help us to create something that's for Estonia very specifically. For example, Anthropic said very clearly that they don't deal with this level of education, so underage student education right now. They only work with high school, university level education. And the problem, even with those biggest names in the world, OpenAI being the top, the biggest, one of the biggest companies in the world, Google being the biggest company in the world, right? The problem is still that there is no learning supportive AI. So if anyone comes to you and tells, we have really great products in Silicon Valley or somewhere, and they are really good for learning, and these are just amazing, and students will learn a lot. This is not true. This is not based on science. This is some kind of technical sales talk, or just very naive way of saying there is no learning supportive AI today. We are trying to build it, not too optimistically, but we have to test. As I said, the issue with the models with the current AI is that they are trained, the models are trained to give likable answers. What it means that if you ask ChatGPT, for example, to do some task for me, then there has been a lot of work where humans actually get multiple answers, and then they say that I like answer A more than answer B. And then there's another model that learns this kind of relationship, what humans like and what humans don't like, and then feeds this signal back into the original model. So what is happening is that the main models from Google, from OpenAI, ChatGPT and Gemini, they are trained to give very likable answers that humans like. Of course, they want to sell their product, right? They want to sell their product. They want businesses to use it, to the workers to do their work tasks. But in education, this is not what we want, right? We don't want easy, quick, likable answers. We want the brain to work first. So we are building our own Estonian GPT, and for GPT we use General Personal Tutor. If you thought GPT means something else, no, it means General Personal Tutor, and we are trying to build one in Estonia. Just to give you an overview, we have two tracks on the development and science side. First, we are trying to build this Estonian GPT, and there has been already a lot of work on that side. On the left top, you can see we have gained a lot of scientific understanding how this model should work as an AI tutor, not as a teacher, and then piloted those solutions. And it has been a collaboration between many scientists in Estonia, from psychology, neuroscience, computer science, education mainly also, right? And we are and now also in collaboration with Stanford and OpenAI, etc. We are working to continuously do science and develop this general personal tutor. And at the same time, we are also working on a specific math tutor. So we are working on another joint collaboration between two universities to pilot, test, and rigorously experiment with a specific math tutor. So for example, we really well know that AI can solve university level, even PhD level math. It's very good at solving math, but it's not so good at teaching math. And the issue is it's not only bad at teaching, but it's also not doing it in the way we are used to doing it in Estonia. So also in Ukraine, in your own regions, you have your own ways of teaching math, of teaching different subjects. You have your own vocabulary, your own traditions, your own materials, and those general models don't know anything about it. And I will dive into different parts of that. But in short, we're trying to scientifically experiment and see whether those tools have an effect on students or they don't. To explain a bit now what is going on inside of those models that act as tutors, as I explained, they are following many different rules, from simple rules. If you don't look at this table even, from simple rules, that it gives short answers, that it tries to understand the student level of knowledge, that it doesn't give answer away immediately. There are many principles, for example, that it talks in Estonian, etc. But now from the teaching and learning side, we are really, the foundation is on educational psychology. So we are thinking the model should work mostly with helping the learner to be in a state where they can learn and also develop those skills in learner. So, for example, if we take autonomous motivation, we want the model, the AI, to support student in understanding what is their motivation and finding this meaning and authentic experience from the learning. So instead of saying you have to do it to get the better grade, the goal is that the student has some more value and meaning from those tasks and moves from excuse me, and that the model would support it. And for example, the learning beliefs is that the model should emphasize on effort, using different strategies, supporting thinking of failures as something one can that are part of learning, and not something that's very innate or part of the student. So there are many things. I won't go over all of those, but those who are educators, they also know that those learning related constructs here, the principles, they are backed by decades, if not more, of rigorous science, showing that those things need to be there for the learning to happen in student. So we're trying to build this model, and we have created our own prompts and tested them. For example, I will also show, for example, learning beliefs. We want the model, the AI, to attribute success to effort and use of effective strategies, as I already told, to challenge students, communicate confidence, etc. So many of those things are things that you already know that the current models don't do at all, and we're trying to build it into that. So the issue is that even if we build everything like this into a model, and even if the model would work, can we say that we are successful? Can we say that this tutor is really good for teaching and for learning? And the answer is probably, as you can imagine, no. We can have as good AI tutor as we can ever build, but the success is not when the model is very good. So the success is when the student is actually behaving and eventually thinking in the way that we want the student to ideally do. So, for example, we don't want students to have no motivation, but slowly work towards more autonomous motivation. So from complete A motivation towards working for a better grade, towards working for themselves. And for learning beliefs, we want them to really believe that I can put in effort and I can use different learning strategies. I can challenge myself. Failure is part of learning, and my abilities are not fixed in stone. So, very classically, people say, oh, I'm not a math person. I cannot do math, but it's shown to be a fallacy. It just depends whether you have a good math teacher, whether you have this kind of attitude towards math. there is nothing in our brain that stops one person from doing math than the other person. So those kind of beliefs are something that we want to see a change in students. And there are many other things, right? You can see the list is long. So eventually, we want to show that thanks to AI Leap in general, and thanks to ideally, we're testing whether this model, this AI tutor, can move the student from low level of those outcomes to the high level. So whether there is a change in the student. So now the question is, how do we also detect this change? For example, in learning beliefs related, we want to see those same things that the model is doing, but mirrored to the student side. So we want to see that the student is attributing success to effort, persistence, believes that their skills can be developed, is open for challenges and effort, and believes that learning takes time. And many other things. So we have many constructs, and each of those constructs are complex in themselves. So the list is long. We're trying to build this into the model and also to measure the student side. So one side, one way to think about how we can detect this change is that we have a classical standard measurement. We do some tests, we do some questionnaires, we see where the student is now, and then we see where the student is in 1 year. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It would be great to see the results.
Yeah. So what we see today is that this wouldn't help us to detect the effect of this AI tutor, and it wasn't here to make you look as fools or anything. This is something we think might happen, and just point out that it's very complex that is happening during this AI leap. So we could say that ideally, yes, we do multiple measurements and we show that our effect is increasing. But it can happen that we do the measurements and in some students, there's nothing. There's a flat line in those skills. And for other students, the skills are going up really, really fast. And for others, maybe it goes down. And maybe there's like 10 or 20 of those different groups. So the issue is that we really cannot tell by measuring those constructs, those principles, just like that, because then we cannot just say, we need other data too. So what we are collecting and what we're using in the research is many different data. So for example, we look at the schools. We look at the schools, whether they are doing AI trainings. We look at the age of the teachers in the school. We look at the teachers and their assessment practices. We look at the students' family, economic situation, and we combine this with the application use, whether they use it, how much they use it, for what they are using, all done anonymously, basically. Without identifying the specific students. And then we try to connect it with this change in the student. And the key argument here is that this change in student, first of all, we need way more data than just the standard instruments. We want to measure this change in a controlled manner as well. So ideally, the classical approach in science is that you randomize the different conditions, and in Estonian case, we then randomize, for example, with the AI tutor that we have different types of AI tutors, For example, this is not set in stone just for this presentation. And then we are saying that the tutor has an effect because we controlled some different conditions. And then we can measure before the intervention and after. So how it basically looks is that we do have the long-term instruments, the standard instruments on the left, but we really want to measure not like 3 times, but we really want to measure in short time. So we want to see actually a change in the behavior. So what we do is that we describe what kind of changes we want to see in the student, and then we are measuring those from the chat. And based on how we measure it in the chat, we also try to optimize the model behavior so that we see an improvement in the chat. And this is very short term. It can happen in weeks or maybe 6 weeks. And based on those chat improvements, we want to see whether the behavior of the student changes, and then in the end also measure the long-term events. It maybe gets a bit more technical and detailed here, but the main question is how to measure this kind of change in the student from the chat. And this is something basically no one has done in the world, and we are trying to figure it out. So in other visual form, we have the dialogue between AI and the student. And for all of those different principles and constructs we had, we want to understand from the chat whether the student is improving in those or not. And this is the main work as a product side, where we're trying to figure out how to do it in a scientific way, and then also connect this with all the other data and say that for this kind of students, the learning happens in these conditions, and we can do some interpretation in the end more meaningfully. So one example is that we're trying to learn about the learning beliefs of every student. For example, by understanding whether they say some sentences that hint that they have developed learning beliefs. So for example, they say that I worked hard and I put in a lot of effort. Or they say I failed because I was using an inefficient strategy. So we're trying to, there's specific technological systems, but we're trying to build like a system that can detect this change from the chat. We have done comparing different prompts. I'm not going deep into that, but we're automatically measuring how the model behaves. And in general, we have seen that we cannot just rely on the prompt. And I'm now jumping from different topics, I understand. But eventually we want to develop the model based on those validated measurements from the chat. So we're really working at some point with the model below. And in general, in the long term, we are trying to measure everything from the chat. We are continuously trying to improve the model, experiment with also math, and do other experiments. So it's a work in progress. We're not saying that there is this AI that has a good effect, but that we are testing, we're doing science, we're figuring out whether it has an effect. And it's a very complicated process. It takes a lot of resources, a lot of planning, but this is very kind of detailed already what AI Leap is doing right now. So before I go on to the teacher side and the school side, I would be happy to take one or two questions still.
So, dear friends, you're welcome. We are working for an hour, almost an hour already, so I think that maybe you have questions. Or you can, after we publish video, send questions into comments to the video. We will ask Kristіan-Юліus also to see it. But actually, we have maybe 20 or 30 minutes more just to go through the rest of the webinar. So if you will have questions during this period, please write into the chat, or just you can ask from the voice. So please, those who understand English and speak English, you're welcome to just to ask a question.
And you
Or
don't
if-
have to ask in English, right? Victoria can
Yeah, by
translate
the
the
way,
questions. Yeah.
just a second, right. Шановні друзі-подруги, якщо у вас є питання українською, вам там складно сформулювати англійською, або ви переживаєте за свою мову, скажіть українською або напишіть українською, я перекладу Крістіану-Юліусу. Будь ласка, буду рада. So I just propose to translate if anyone wants to ask in Ukrainian. Тому, будь ласка, або пишіть в чаті. Yeah, right.
So if you have, Victoria, any questions, you just interrupt me, and there will be more time eventually in the end. I will try to go through in the 15 minutes. So as we already said, the technology can be really, really great. It can be an amazing technology, which it isn't. We're testing it out. As I said, there's no good technology right now. But even if there would be, even if we successfully build such a tutor, why should students use it? They can always use ChatGPT. So the main focus of AI Leap, although I talked a lot about technology, the main focus are the schools and the change in schools. And with this change is very important factor and also context that Estonian schools and teachers are very autonomous. Even with such big national educational program kickstarted by the president, they don't have to join this program. And even if they join, they don't have to use the AI, or they don't have to do anything. It's a really big strength of Estonian education system. The teachers who want to do something differently, they can do it. The schools that want to do something completely differently, they can do it. But it's also the weakness, right? That the schools who don't want to do anything, they don't do anything. And this is really important to understand. We can build a really good AI, or we can have really good practices for the teachers, but they decide. They decide whether they implement it or not. Teacher has full autonomy, basically, to execute the national curriculum in the way they want to do it. And this matters for this project as well. So the context is that whatever follows is voluntary for the Estonian teachers and for Estonian schools. It's all voluntary. So AI Leap is supporting the schools. And as I said already earlier, in August, we had the first massive online training for 4,000 teachers of the 10th and 11th grade, where many topics from basic understanding what is AI, how AI works, how the model predicts the words, to how teachers can use it. And very specifically, how teachers are going to learn throughout this year in their own learning communities to use AI and to rethink their learning and teaching. Now, after this, in September, we already had school leaders meeting up, understanding how they can support the school culture, create conditions for teachers to thrive and to work in those professional learning communities. So here and next, I will use this professional learning communities as PLC, and I will explain what it is. But you can understand now that most of the work goes on with in those PLCs, professional learning communities. And in October, we had the leaders of each school professional learning community to learn together. So the leaders, we have schoolmasters, and then the leaders in each school, they came together to understand how to build such a community in their school and how to model this method in their community. Estonia is separated into 7 different regions. It's a small country, but and every region has their own community leaders who are responsible that those communities are happening. So, for example, in Tallinn, there's 59 schools, and we have 3 people working with those schools. And in other regions, we have 1 person per that region, etc. So approximately 20 schools per 1 person. And they are coordinating those learning groups. And and throughout the year now, there are many other things that support the teachers. There is a Moodle, an online course where there's forums, there's materials for teachers that they can share and discuss all these. So it's like an online community. There are regular webinars accessible through YouTube as well. You can check it out. There are those regional and national level learning communities. I will go into that, where they discuss learning related, teaching related, AI related topics, and then deep dive at some point into more advanced AI related topics, as how to create different assignments with AI. And mainly the work is happening in those school level. So there are supportive mechanisms through Moodle, webinars, and regional communities, but the main work is happening on the school level.
Christian, could you please explain what's the word Moodle means? Because I even Googled and I
Okay. Okay. Moodle is an online learning environment where your school can. It's an open source software. So in Estonia, most universities and most schools use also Moodle. You can create a course and have different lessons under each course. You can share materials. And for example, my university has a Moodle, which is only this university's Moodle. And it has different courses that I'm attending. I can see the videos there. I can have a forum chat, etc. So it's like a online learning management platform, basically.
Thank you. I have put the link into our chat because I tried to find the translation and I didn't, but when I put just a platform, then I found it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And different schools, they are setting up their own Moodles. So it's not like there's one software, but your school can create your own environment, your own like technological separate system with Moodle. So it's not public. Yeah. And those professional learning communities, just quickly going over them, they are meant for teachers to learn together, to learn collaboratively. It's a very well-known practice in Estonia. A lot of schools are using it, have been using it for 10 years maybe. So it's very clear term in Estonian language, and for Estonian schools, we have done a lot of science for learning communities. and how to drive change. So this is our approach to create a common language and understanding, and to lead a change in teacher communities in schools. So a school can come together and create their own learning community. They come together and they think together and practice how they want to do some change. So that's the background, and how those learning communities work are that they are always related to some goal of the school, and something that, they have to support some kind of school level goal achievement, have fit into the big picture. So it cannot be usually it's not like a random thing that they come together. With AI Leap, this if it matches the AI Leap activities with the school activities, they can decide to do a PLC with the AI Leap content. Those learning communities, they happen every month, every week. For example, during the time when the students have an independent learning day. So since COVID pandemic, in Estonia, it's very popular that schools have one day off where students are at home. And now this time when the students are at home and learning independently, which is also a great time to use AI tutor, right? Is the time when the teachers are working together. Or the teachers have one day where they have 45 minutes or 1.5 hours in the morning, and they can vary which day it is, but they agree that they have one day to collaborate. So it can be on different times, and the focus is always on student and then student well-being and student learning. Everything is related to student. And the important is that it has been shown that if these learning groups are voluntary in the school, then they have less impact, because only some teachers are going to join, but really those learning communities have effect if they become mandatory for the teachers. And of course, at the background, this is done from the school time, from their already existing time. The schoolmaster has to find time from the work time for the teachers to do it, and it becomes part of their teaching responsibility. And how those PLCs are structured, basically it happens 2 times per month, so regularly. So it can be at different times, as I already said. It can be at the beginning of the work. It can be in the first half of some day. It usually lasts like 60 minutes, 1.5 minutes, or 1.5 hours. And it's in small groups, like 15 teachers altogether. So if it's a big school, then there has to be small groups working in parallel. And every community has a leader. So as I said, with AI Leap, the leaders are coming together to discuss how to have those communities, how to make them work. And now those leaders go back to their school and they are driving those meetings. The leaders can rotate, and I'm sorry I don't have much time to go into that. We have more information about it, but just very briefly, it's a very structured way of learning, and there's specific methodology, scientific methodology behind it. It's very goal-oriented, and if you want to get into that, I'm sure there's materials about it, or we can connect you with people who have more material. And everything is basically based on a flipped classroom. So at home, teachers are studying materials. For example, they are reading a paper about self-regulated learning, or they are reading some kind of reports or something scientific, or maybe some materials by the other teachers. Then they come together, they look at the materials that everyone has read, they discuss it, and then they develop together practical changes in the next 2 weeks in the school that they want to have. They apply those practices in their lessons, and then they come back together and well, first they go to each other's lessons as well. So they come up with those exercises, they go to their classes, and then other teachers also go to their classes and look how it works. Afterwards, which they analyze with the observer and the teacher, and they come back together, and in the next PLC meeting they discuss those whether they worked or not, what they keep, and so forth, what they observed. And for example, with AI Leap, they, for example, can say, we want to use AI more efficiently. So they want to set goals that they will, 1 month they will see how they can reduce paperwork. 1 month they can see how they can change assessment practices. 1 month they can see how they can reuse materials to create like differentiated materials, for example, etc. Or how to automate something to have more time for one-to-one talk with the children. Or in the other case, they can come together and start making agreements about their school level practices, which AI tools they use, how do they learn from students, what the student wants, how students see AI, what kind of rules they can have with students about the AI usage, and how do they manage this academic fraud threats, basically. So there's a lot of examples. I'm not saying this is something AI Leap tells to the teachers. No, the teachers and schools decide for themselves. But it's just an example how those learning communities can work. So very, very quickly, those practices are created together with teachers, learned from mistakes and reflected. You will get the slides, you can read them later. And just to finalize, I have 5 more minutes, I will do it very quickly. I'm just saying it's a big effort to bring it up. In the center, we have AI Leap Foundation, which is joining all the different efforts, but it's an effort with having private sector money, having Ministry of Education and Science, having different scientists, institutes, schools, teachers, all working together, doing their own tasks. And just a big picture is that this year there is 20,000 students and 4,700 teachers from 11th and 10th grade. And then it will scale up, basically. It will scale up the next year to vocational schools, and to new 10th grade, another 40,000 students. And eventually it will scale even larger. There are different goals that want to be matched. There is a point that when you do this kind of program on the nationwide, you will get eventually cheaper solutions. So, for example, here the idea is that when each child would buy their own license for ChatGPT, which is maybe not the best for learning today, they will pay 200 euros. But for the same price in AI Leap, most of the money goes into supporting the schools, supporting the teachers, the change in the schools, and also some part goes to the technology. So way less money is spent nationwide on technology, and much more is spent on having real classroom, school level change. So it is a big investment, but it's cheaper to do it on a big scale with the big companies than on a small scale. So having instead of doing nothing and letting everyone pay a lot more, if we do things together on a big scale, we can do things better and cheaper. I have some other points here, but I think that's a lot of information already. Thank you so much for listening. We still have a few minutes. I would happy to answer your questions. And if you want to stay here longer, I have 5 more minutes after the 6 o'clock.
Thank you very much, Kristіan-Юліus. It was so nice to hear from Estonian experience. Actually, as for me, as an organizer, not less educator, but more organizer. So the last part about money was really impressive, actually. Just I didn't thought at the beginning of our webinar that you will speak about it, and I didn't think even about this part, which is quite big for not only for Estonia, but for Ukraine, for example. I wonder how much money would do Ukrainians spend already on ChatGPT, paying $20 each month. Yeah.
So this investment is half public sector and half private sector. So half of the money comes from companies.
That's important. So please, dear friends, if you want to ask a question or just to tell your opinion or some thoughts about what was going on here between you and us during the last an hour and a half, you're welcome. So you can use and take the generously provided email which Kristіan-Юліus showed, just to contact or asks for any other contacts. Yeah, I see. Mikita, welcome.
Yeah, hi colleagues. Hi, Kristіan-Юліus. Am I understand you right? You are creating your own model which will be used by the students in Estonia only.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, and the main idea is for this model that's when you ask it about, give me some solution, you will receive not a solution, but steps, how to achieve it, strategies, how to do, how to work with that, where to find information, but not the full solution.
That is more complex, and we don't have time to go into that. But as you know, Socratic learning doesn't work all the time. You cannot always ask the student, what do you think? What should you do? How you understand it? At some point, you need to tell them what is the new knowledge or show them some materials. But then there has to be this conceptual change happening. So we go really deeply now into pedagogy and learning sciences, right? You have to start turning this nothingness of understanding nothing into understanding things better. So there needs to follow up a process. But the large part of also is all those other things, not just the materials or the tasks. The first question is why are you doing this task? For example, why are you here? Is your motivation to just get it done, or do you want to get the better grade? And to let the student to think about this for a second and get some more meaning behind it. Of course, this is not easy, but basically without having any motivation, it's really hard to continue with anything. The same goes with emotions. If there's a lot of anxiety going on or there's some sadness going on, it's hard to learn and to be engaged in learning when you have overwhelming negatively learning affective emotions. So there's so many different aspects. There's basically 3-4 steps before you can even start talking about the task. So that's kind of the goal. It is not easy. We're not saying we can do it, but that's the goal.
Yeah, but you understand that your model will be only one among others. And nobody can stop the student to open the same ChatGPT or Gemini and ask the solution and receive it. And close your model. Do not use it because I have a solution. It's what I need.
Exactly. So that's the reason why AI Leap is mostly not a technological project. It's mostly changing the way we learn and teach in schools. So, for example, a small example, like very abstract example, is that if the student has a motivation to submit a homework and they get the grade for that, then they will use regular AI. If they have a task to gather some information and then come to the class, for example, and discuss about it or show some kind of project, like progress in how they put together some kind of thing, then it's already, there's not that much big motivation. So the way we build up assessment and what we expect from the student and how we assess, like, is it progress or is it output, and how we will learn. All of this has to be retaught. That's the basic. You're completely right.
Yeah, thank you. Very important questions. Thanks a lot. As for me, I would ask, I don't know if you have an answer, but still, do you think your experience can be applicable in other countries of the European Union and in Ukraine, for example? And when Estonia would be ready to share this experience, if you would love to?
The AI Leap CEO, yeah, you can see the Estonian version, T-Hype, but our CEO, if I can find him, Ivo, I can also share. He's already sharing this experience with similar messages across the world. So Ivo is the guy, Ivo Visak on this left corner. He can already share how AI Leap is doing with the rest of the world. He's traveling around. But definitely at some point the next year, if we have more results, first of all, there will be a report that's probably available. There will be definitely some public materials, and hopefully there will be scientific articles. So you can read a scientific article in Nature or in Science that shows what we did. There is a piece, a paper already out there that you can read. I can send you this as well. It's more about learning science, maybe not so interesting for you, but I can still send it to you.
Thanks. Well, thanks. That's great. We have thankful words in our chat, and I would
Thank you so much. Thank you for learning, and I'm really happy to be with you here.
Thank you very much. I will ask Kristіан-Юліус you to stop sharing, and I will ask Andrew to show the QR code. So, Андрій, будь ласка, покажи QR-код, це фінальний слайд нашої презентації. And also, I have shared the information about certificates, in our chat.
Перепрошую, в мене QR-коду нема, зараз скину посиланнячко в чатик на нашу анкету.
Я вже скинула, якщо що. Давайте я ще раз. So, I will copy it one more time. So, it's in chat. It's about certificates for participants for taking part in this webinar. So it's in Ukrainian. I'm sorry, it's in Ukrainian. We don't have a QR code. Okay, so we just wanted the link to be working, right? So we just removed the QR code because we understand that maybe someone watches this webinar from smartphone, so you cannot use QR code. So please go via link. It's a Google form, so please fill in it for us to know whom to send certificates, but we will do it next week after all webinars are done. And I will ask Andrew just to stop video recording. Андрій, будь ласка, зупини відеозапис, якщо можна.
Зараз.